Well, hello, and welcome to today's Back to Basics show on New Year's intentions. I'm Alex Juarez, AARP Arizona Communications Director. And AARP, as you know, is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence and nearly 38 million members across the nation and over 900,000 in Arizona, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to families, including health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. In the months of November and December, we were focused on navigating long-term care options, and we reached out to more than 800,000 Arizona family caregivers and their loved ones with supportive key resources addressing mental health issues. And for more information, you can go to aarp.org/caregiving. That will give you some tips, tools, and resources for that. So, welcome again, Coach Sherry Ann. Good morning, and how are you doing today?
Good morning, Alex. I'm doing awesome. Thank you. And I'm really enjoying the cloudy weather because it just feels a little more wintry, even though I'm sitting here in a tank top. But we've been in the 80s. So
I
I'm enjoying
know,
this weather and ready for the holidays.
unbelievable. You're ready for the holidays. That's fantastic. And it is amazing that in Arizona, just up to a week ago, we were still at 80 degrees here. So it didn't feel like fall or winter or any of that, sort. So for those of you watching us from out of Arizona, please make sure that you leave us a message on on the chat area. Tell us
Mhm.
where you're watching from and how you're spending their holiday season. We'd love to hear that. In today's show, we're going to be talking about our intentions. What
Yes.
happens New Year's Eve? And I tell you something, I'm not a big fan of putting resolutions. I'd rather just work throughout the year on what I need to work on, but I really try not to set myself, for resolutions that maybe I'm going to fail later on. So let's talk about that, Coach Sherian.
Yes. I'm so glad that you said that. So I like to use the word intentions versus resolutions and goals.
Oh, okay.
And the reason behind that is because goals focus on the how and the what, whereas intentions focus on the why and the motivation behind it. And
Mm,
we tend to stick to intentions a lot better and easier than
right.
goals and resolutions. And so that's why it's a little bit of a shift. And you can see that across, the board. There's a lot of people that still stick to wanting to do resolutions because it's kind of old school. Like, what's your New Year's resolution? But you'll see more and more people being intentional.
Yeah.
And a key word that you've seen a lot and heard a lot is being mindful. And I use
Mindful.
it a
Yeah.
lot too. And
Mhm.
so, and that's where intentions come from. It's just focusing on the why and the motivation behind what you're wanting to do. Because intentions require, action steps. Goals do too, but intentions lead to a bigger life desire. And so when you're setting an intention, there's a desire behind that, a why and a motivation. And so that tends to drive people, like I said, a little bit more. A good example is like a goal or resolution would be, I want to lose 30 pounds this year.
Mhm.
That's a goal, and that's pretty much a resolution. Whereas an intention would be, I value my health and I value my well-being, and I want to be motivated to do the things that will get me to having a more healthy life. So,
Okay.
do you see the difference where it's like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a how and a what, but I wanna live a healthy life, and it's like, but why? Like, what's behind that? So, that tends to be a little bit more of a driver.
Okay, yeah. So it seems like, just having those intentions might be easier to keep rather than setting a resolution that probably not going to happen, throughout the year. So yeah, that does
Right.
make sense on that.
Well,
Okay.
and the thing too is, like, so many people set, pretty superficial resolutions, and
Hmm.
then there's not a lot of motivation behind it. And
Right.
because there's not an intention of wanting to, dig deeper and have a bigger desire. And so, and I mean, one of the most common resolutions is, I want to lose weight or I want to be healthier,
Right.
and it's important.
Exercise. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to exercise. But by week 3 of January, beginning of January, gyms are exploding with, memberships. But then by the
Yeah.
third
Everybody comes the first week of January.
but seriously, by like the third week, by day 21, it's almost like crickets.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to just get behind why that is. Like, Yeah, you want to lose 30 pounds. Why do you want to? Is it because you're wanting to be more active with your children or your grandchildren, or you're wanting to be able to walk up the stairs instead of take an elevator? There should be
Hmm.
some reasons behind why you're wanting that, and not just throwing it out a number like I want to lose 30 pounds.
Yep.
And so one of the things that can help with setting your intentions for 2022 and feeling good about how you're finishing off 2021, because it was still a very tumultuous year.
Yeah.
A lot of anxiety, a lot of stresses with COVID, and people's businesses being really impacted, and it's still happening. And so it's really important to sit and reflect about
Right.
2021, and
Hmm.
and just think about what had happened. What I say is take inventory of this last year and be really thoughtful about it. And you want to focus on all the accomplishments that you did achieve in 2021. And I just did
Okay.
this with somebody recently, and they had totally forgotten like most of the stuff that they had accomplished, and it was a big year for them.
Right.
And also they had like this aha moment. And so it's important to take inventory, I say, on a regular basis. Like when you go to bed at night, just take inventory of what your day was like, kind of get in the habit of being grateful of the things that you accomplished, and then kind of take note of the things that you didn't achieve that you want to achieve the next day. And this
Hmm.
is, a grander scheme of we're looking at the whole year. But, take inventory and focus on your career, your academics, your
Hmm.
relationships, your own personal development, your health and fitness. Look at all the categories of, what makes up you as a human being, and just
Sure.
take inventory. Have a nice time reflecting and writing those things down so that you can see all of the successes that you did have in 2021. And that's the best place to start, and being proud of how you did do in 2021. Celebrate those wins.
I like that. Yeah, I like the idea of keeping track or an inventory of that. And nowadays, it's so easy. I mean, you've got your smartphones with you that you can just keep notes in there and just go back onto them on a daily basis or weekly or however you want to do it. A little while ago, you touched on 21 days. Now, I've heard a lot of the 21 days creates a habit. Is that really true?
Yes, it is. It's actually closer to 40,
Hmm.
but 21 days at least gets you into the habitual form of doing something. But for it to
Hmm.
be really cemented, you kind of need to get to about 40 days.
Okay.
Um, but yes, it's true. I mean, and it's important to create good habits and have intentions behind those good habits so that you can stick to them. And whether you're keeping yourself accountable, which is really, really challenging, or you have a partner in life that's helping you keep you accountable, or a good friend or family member or something, someone, and so the accountability factor is huge when you're wanting to create habits.
Okay. All right.
It,
Very good.
it really, really is.
So, as Coach Ariane is giving us these intentions, just how to keep those intentions, make sure that you type on the message board, what is your intention for 2022? Let us know what your top intention will be. We'd love to hear from you and let us know. And also where you're watching from, if you can, please. So, okay. So, what else do we have, Coach?
So after you do your inventory and be really thoughtful about it, spend some time, and
Mhm.
celebrate those successes. Like I said, I think a lot of people in 2021 really did try to put their mental health on the forefront, because in 2020, when COVID was really ravaging everyone's lives, I think there was a huge increase in anxiety and depression. And so
Mhm.
2021, I think a lot of people did put their mental health on the forefront and really tried to focus on having more joy in their life, and
Right.
not living with anxiety and fear, because there was a lot of
Mhm.
fear-based living in 2020. And so
Right.
I do think that there were a lot of people in 2021 that took that and took it to heart and really did. And I saw a lot of kindness in 2021, which was phenomenal. And it's sad that it takes a very tragic thing happening for people to focus on that, but it is what
Right.
it is. And so I think that a lot of people focused on mental health and joy and kindness in 21. So celebrate
Right.
that if you did that. That's really important, because our mental health is just as important as our physical health.
Right.
So taking
Absolutely.
inventory. So once you take inventory, then you're going to be asking yourself, and you have to ask yourself the hard questions of, did I operate from a place of fear? this last year? Did I allow things to hold me back? Because when we operate from a place of fear, we have a tendency to hold ourselves back and not achieve the things that we wanted to achieve. If you did set your intentions, or if you call them goals and resolutions, that's totally okay. But if you did that for 21 and you didn't achieve those, why didn't you achieve those? What held you back? Was it fear? Was it circumstances? And that's part of taking inventory. And what would you have done differently? When you look back at 2021, is there anything
Mhm.
that you didn't do that you wish you would have done? Is that the case for you, Alex? Is there anything that you would have done differently in 21?
Well, I kept my exercise, so I think I'm good with that. I think weight-wise, I could have probably done better. Maybe eating a little bit healthier. So that's probably something that I need to focus more in 2022. Um, I think that's my top one. Yeah, eat healthier.
Okay, that's good. And that's a day-to-day thing. And that's an
Yeah.
awesome one, and it's like, what did you learn, and what did you grow? How did you grow in 21? And so for you, like for the eating healthy, like you can look back and think, okay, I learned that if I do X, then Y ends up happening, and it's,
Right.
not sabotaging yourself. So a lot of times when it comes to nutrition for people, they're typically sabotaging themselves subconsciously and they don't even know it. So it's like, take note to what you did learn from not hitting your goals in 21 and apply that to 22. And
Mhm.
if you were your own best friend, what would you tell yourself? We're so, I think for the most part, many people are really quick to advise their friends or, give them compliments and but do we turn and do that for ourselves? And I would dare say no. Most people just don't.
Probably
So,
not, huh? Yeah.
yeah, so it's important to think about, what would you tell your best friend? In
Yeah.
turn, if you were your own best friend, what would you tell yourself?
Hmm.
And that's a huge part of self-reflection. And it's hard for people to do that because you have to be very vulnerable with your own thoughts and with yourself. And
Hmm.
it makes people very uncomfortable
Right. Hmm.
to do that. And I'm all about finding, and this kind of leads me into one of my friends' words is for 22 is uncomfortable. So I bought this whole fun kit to do, and the company is called My Intent,
Uh-huh.
and it comes with these strings for bracelets, and there's a gold medallion, and they give you a whole metal stamp thing to be able to stamp your word letter by letter on the medallion, and then you
Oh,
can wear it,
hmm.
all through 22 is, and
Sure.
it's what it is you pick your word. And so it's one of those things that it's one word that will remind you of everything that you're wanting to encompass in the next year. And for
Okay.
her, she wanted to be uncomfortable. She wanted to do things that stretched her mentally and physically. And so she chose the word uncomfortable because it was all encompassing as far as traveling with her kids, even it would be easier to stay home,
Sure.
or,
Uh-huh.
trying a new exercise routine, or trying anything new and just getting out of her comfort zone. And so her quote was, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. So her word was uncomfortable. Uh,
Can you repeat that again? Life begins at the edge of the
at
uncomfortable
the
zone?
at the end of your comfort zone. So we
At
all
the end
have
of it.
a
Okay.
very bubble. We have a bubble that
Uh-huh.
we're comfortable operating within. And we'll push up against that border. But
Mhm.
when we step outside that border, that's when it's really uncomfortable because we're outside of
Okay.
our comfort zone.
Right.
But that is really truly where growth can happen. Because when we're in our comfort zone, we're totally cozy. We're not stretching ourselves. But if
Sure.
you get outside your comfort zone, then that's when growth can really, really happen, and doing things that you're not used to doing. Like if it's nutrition for you, trying to cook new foods,
Right.
a whole new genre of foods you can do, and so it's like just get outside your comfort zone.
Mhm.
Um, like for my boys, like we volunteer every year. And so this last Sunday, and they usually kind of just shadow me, but they're old enough now where I'm trying to put them in front of me when we do stuff because they're talking to strangers. And he was my 15-year-old was so uncomfortable, but we were working with firefighters, and so he was able to hold a firefighter boot because we were asking for donations for children in hospitals or toys. And he was so outside of his comfort zone, and so all he could do was say one word, and then he built on that word, and then pretty soon by the end he would be able to complete. He would have a full on conversation with people, but he
Uh-huh.
had to build one word at a time to build that sentence.
Yeah.
Um, but it is important to get outside your comfort zone,
The
and so
comfort zones, yeah. Uh-huh.
right.
Just recently, a friend of mine, we were at a dinner party, and he mentioned something about uh, being, having fun in life. Life is too short, and he says you've got to get outside and be more fun about it. Because I am pretty much a square person, and I consider myself probably more of a serious type. And I like to joke around a little bit here and there, but that made me reflect. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to be working on towards 2022 as well. Be outside of that. It's not a comfort zone for me to be, try to be funny or just have fun.
Have
I don't know
fun.
how to, I don't know how to explain it, but I think I
No,
need
you're
to work on
explaining
that.
it beautifully. No, it's I think that when we become very structured and we
Yeah,
don't allow fun in, then we're
right.
missing the joy and the laughter of life sometimes. And I think that that's what you were reflecting on, is like, I need to be
Yeah.
having more fun. And
uh,
and so it is important to life is too short. Like, it's if
It
you're not
is.
bringing joy to other people,
Uh-huh.
it's because that's what brings me joy, is to give joy to other people. And so it's that's one of my biggest things, is joy and perspective have been always been my words.
hmm
Um, my word for this next year is going to be focus. I tend to get
Focus.
uh like butterfly syndrome. Like, I just get excited about things and I'll jump to one thing from the next. And I just this next year of 22 is a year of focus for me, so that I can.
Kind of hard to believe that you're like that, because I see you as a very focused, a go-getter, and I mean, you're so goal-driven.
Oh, I am, but I have a tendency to put too many things on my plate. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
like, a
hmm
good analogy my dad said to me one time, and I'll never forget this. He's like, "You probably should take some of those peas off your plate before they roll off."
Okay. Yeah,
And
makes sense.
because it's like, so I there's certain things that I am very, very focused on, for sure, definitely.
Right.
I'm very
hmm
type A, and but I have too many things that so my focus word is take the things that are very important and very intentional, and put my focus in those things rather than spreading myself too thin. So finding a word for 22 is a great activity. And you can actually, even if you're interested in doing this, there's so many resources online. Like, if you were to Google word for 2022, you would have a couple of different resources pop up to
Yeah.
give you a series of questions to answer to help you find out what your word is.
Right.
Like, interestingly enough, my daughter's word is hers is perspective also, but osmosis is her other word. And
Transformation or
osmosis,
something. Yeah.
yeah, so her osmosis is because she's had some trials and tribulations, so she's got
Uh-huh.
just this muck. And so by dissipating that muck, she's got to do osmosis by pouring in good stuff. So she's
Right.
just going to
Uh-huh.
constantly be pouring in good and letting osmosis, help dilute the muck that she's got right now. And so
Wow.
it's kind of fun to pick a word because it does help you stay
Yeah,
focused.
absolutely. How old is your daughter? I mean, because that is pretty interesting that she chose osmosis.
19.
19. Okay.
We
Uh-huh.
we have a
Wow.
lot of conversations in this house.
That is wonderful.
But so
That is
it's like, so to find your intentions or your word, if we're going to do that, think about where you need some revitalization in your life. Think
okay.
about where you want joy injected into your life, and think
hmm
about what is going to, bring you a lighter, fuller life for 2022. And
Right.
so those are the things that you kind of have to sit and ask yourself when you're doing your inventory and asking the whys, so that you can get to what your intentions, for 22 are going to be. And the other thing too that's really important that we tend to neglect is clutter. Like, you
Uh,
really need to declutter your life, and that means physical and mental.
okay.
So, I mean, lucky for me, I just moved a couple months ago, so I got to do a massive purge, and I I don't think I've ever taken so much stuff to Goodwill, or to I take a lot of stuff to Sojourner Center,
hmm
which is for battered women. So I
Yes.
just purged so much stuff, and it feels so good because it opens up space for new and more beautiful things to come in. And so declutter. If you have a lot of clutter, physical clutter, really take the time, and this is a great time of year to declutter because there's so many people that are in need,
Hmm.
and what you might not be touching and using, somebody else could totally use.
Exactly.
So use this time to really declutter and prepare your space, your physical space for 22. And then with that decluttering too, think about what has not served you in 21 and
Right.
mentally. You know,
Uh-huh.
what's holding you back? Because we all carry mental baggage. We do. The best of us and the worst of us. And
Hmm.
so take inventory of that mental baggage too and let go of it. And just really, the best way to do that sometimes is to write it on a piece of paper and then burn it. And then that way it's gone and you don't have to ever look at it and deal with it ever again. But creating physical space for new things to come in and mental space for new ideas and new intentions to come in, we've got to declutter. It's really, really important to not only physically, but mentally declutter. And this is one of the best times to do it when you're doing your inventory.
Absolutely, absolutely. I see a post from Harrison. I love this. Have how about being a friend with your neighbors and all the people you know. I think if we can all bring back that human element
Yes.
and be kind, be nice to everyone, I think that our country would be so much better.
Oh, yes. I mean, and especially now because we went through a whole phase of quarantining and
Hmm.
in isolation and and we're definitely back to living more engaged, but yes,
Right.
go out and meet your neighbors. I mean, it's we and on the new neighborhood that we're in, I'm so grateful because there's so many people that walk the streets and they're just so kind. And
Uh-huh.
I got away from where people would go into their garage and then close their garage door before they even
Yeah,
got out of their car. It's like,
yeah. Many neighbors do that, right?
yeah, so
Yeah.
yes, that's a wonderful thank you for that, Harrison. But yeah, meet your neighbors if you haven't met your neighbors. And there's nothing wrong with going and knocking on their door and just saying, I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and just saying hello. I haven't met you and get outside your comfort zone.
Exactly. That's right. Any other tips on it?
So one of the things that is important to look at is also your patterns. So when you do your inventory and you recognize the things that you fell short on, look back at what the patterns were that created that for you and break those patterns, and try to create new patterns. That goes back to the whole creating a habit. And so you have to be super intentional about breaking pattern. It's hard, especially when we're very habitual people, to
Uh-huh.
break those patterns that didn't serve you and be very intentional about setting a new pattern that is going to help you achieve your intentions for 22. And when
Okay.
you're doing all of this, write it down. And the best thing to do is actually do it with either your partner, a family member, a friend. Talk about, what 21 was for you and what you want 21 to be. And write them down and share them. Share them with as many people as you can because the more people you share your intentions with, the more ingrained it is in you and the more people around you because we all want to be validated, and so having people validate you for what you're wanting to do for 22 and support you in that is just
Hmm.
going to help you be that much more successful.
Got it.
So
Excellent.
write it down and write them in the positive frame. You know, I am or I will. And you can even write it down as if you've already done it, and so, but keep it in a positive form. Don't write your intentions in a negative in the sense of, I don't want to do this. It's more about what you are going to do. That's
Positive,
really,
keeping
really
it
important.
positive. Hmm. Okay. That is wonderful. Excellent. Well, it seems like we have a quiet group today. No questions and no comments. That's strange. We always have a vocal group in here. But if
Well,
you have
it's
a
the end of the
question,
year. I think people are just very, very busy.
yeah, everybody's busy on that, so we totally understand that. But if you have questions or if you have a comment for Coach Ariane, please make sure you put it in the comment section. If we don't get to answer it during the show, she'll be happy to come back and answer it for you. Anything else to add, Coach Ariane?
The last thing I will say is show yourself some grace. We aren't perfect human beings. And so when you're doing your inventory and reflecting and you didn't hit the things that you wanted to in 21, don't beat yourself up. You know,
Okay.
and that's why it's so important to be positive and show some grace and understand that change happens incrementally, especially in
Hmm.
ourselves. And so just when you set your intention for 22, kind of
Right.
set, reverse engineer a little bit in the sense of create steps that you're wanting to do to make those intentions happen, and little goals, little steps along the way, little wins that you can celebrate,
Right.
and that will help you stay focused and stay attentive to your intentions. And so, but
Mhm.
just and have accountability, whether it's with yourself or with a friend, and you're doing regular check-ins, saying how are you doing with what you wanted to set for 22. And what beauty would that be for for you to find somebody that you can partner with, that you're setting those intentions and you're helping each other, because not only are you bringing joy to their life and reflecting, you're giving to them, but it's giving you the opportunity to receive support from them. And giving and receiving is such a beautiful thing that can happen if we just put ourselves out there for it.
Mhm.
So show yourself some grace, and maybe put yourself out there to help somebody else with their intentions, because in turn it's going to help you.
That'll help out. Excellent. So, what do you have planned for the new year?
For the new year, for
Yeah.
me?
Are you celebrating anything New Year's Eve?
Oh, well, we are thankfully, hopefully, if everything still holds true, we will be traveling up to see my best friend in Calgary, because I haven't seen her for a couple of
Oh,
years.
cool. Uh huh.
So my kids and I are very excited to go have a white Christmas up in Canada. I'll miss my family dearly, because I've never been away from them for Christmas. But I'm looking forward to it. So this will be a whole new holiday experience for us, doing Christmas away from my family and with dear friends.
Yeah.
But I've missed her dearly, because COVID's really made things very, very challenging. So we're very, very excited.
You better go well prepared for the cold weather over there.
Yes.
That is wonderful.
Yes.
So I know that we are winding down the year. We have one last show prepared.
Mhm.
That it's going to be a tape show. It won't be a live show, but we're going to talk about handling the anxiety and stress of the holiday season.
Mhm.
So you're going to have some tips for our viewers. Talk a little bit more about that.
So holiday time tends to really create some anxiety in a lot of people, and stresses,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is due to just getting together with families, because there's a lot that goes on with families. There's a lot of dynamics, and so, but it does create a lot of anxiety and stress, and then
Right.
it's further complicated with dealing with the variant with COVID and all of that. And so we're just going to talk about things that you can do to help reduce the stresses and anxiety that come with getting together for a holiday time, because we do want to enjoy laughter and family and friends, but with that does come stresses. So we'll just kind of address what that can look like for people.
That is excellent. And that show is scheduled for Tuesday, December 21st at 10 o'clock Arizona time. That would be 12 o'clock Eastern time zone. So hopefully you can tune in and watch that. And we hope that everybody has a safe holiday and fun season, a holiday season. Please, please, please be safe out there. I know that there's going to be many gatherings, family gatherings. So the CDC has recommended some testing, rapid testing before that. So we just want to remind you, please be careful with that. Just stay safe. Anything else to add there, Coach Sherry Ann?
No, just have a good time and try not to let the stress and anxiety get to you too much. Focus on the joy and laughter and making memories.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much again, Coach Sherry Ann. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and we look forward to the next show. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you on the 21st, December 21st. Thank you again, and have a wonderful holiday season.